Coach Eugene Berryman was doing an interview, and it pertained to Adesanya. It comes up to the direction that Adesanya is going to be competing with Sean Strickland, and on the Australian card that was supposed to go to Plessis. And Coach Berryman said there's no guarantee that the fight with Plessis will take place now. He said if you turn fights down, and Berryman even said, Coach Berryman said, I don't make the rules, but if you turn something down, you go back into the pool. It means if you're selected, you're the special guy, you're the guy, the number one contender, and you say no to that, you go back in, and now it's still up for debate. You're going to go and bark and bite. And it's one of those spots where I do predict for you that Plessis versus Adesanya happens. I predict for you that Plessis' next fight is against Adesanya. I felt as like the heat and the pressure for that fight was going to be massive. And I don't think just because you do it on a different date, it takes that away. I don't feel that that fight, the battle over Africa, I don't feel that that fight had to take place in Australia. I could see that at T-Mobile, just by example. So I do believe that Plessis will be the guy, and I share that because it's not at all my point. But Coach Berryman is correct that if you let things die down, if you let them go away, man, it's hard to get restarted. I mean, it really is at anything. You ever been in the gym? You ever been doing everything right? You got a diet and you're doing your exercise, and then you get away from it. You take a vacation or you take a break, something along these lines, but you're not doing it. That first day back, oh, it's the hardest one. Sometimes it throws off the whole thing so people never come back. It's one of these really difficult things to restart something, and right now it's stopped. I'm doing my level best to some degree to keep it going, but I must tell you, unless I'm scrolling the headlines on my own YouTube page, I haven't seen Plessis and Adesanya's name together in 3 weeks. And Plessis has a very unique ability to get a message out. He's very good on the social media. His following is not huge, but Plessis does his part. He was very good dating back to the card on December 10th, where he was undercard and thought he should have been main card. He goes from an undercard guy where Dricus du Plessis is a name that was hard for people to say, to the point that they didn't say it. They named him DDP. They didn't show him enough respect to learn how to say his name. And by the way, I know that because I'm one of the guys. Like Dricus du Plessis, I have a hard time with guys' names as it is. Take the time to go out and learn how to say Mamaga Cheryapov, and then he retires and decides he's going to be an EMT, right? I mean, it's one of these really weird spots, but this was only on December 10th. He goes from December 10th of what was supposed to be an undercard to the number one contender, and rightfully so. He earned that the very hard way going through Whitaker, which he was a 3-1 underdog. Odds makers did not think he could do it, and built this massive event with Adesanya. But if you stop it, it's just one of those things that's hard to get regoing. And I don't know if Izzy is going to go in that direction. Izzy is going to have massive media opportunities. Izzy always takes care of the job at hand and makes sure he has a job tomorrow. Always. He never leaves for the day before making sure that he has a job to come back to tomorrow. So if Izzy goes in that direction and continues to give the magic wand and wave it over to Plessis, we're talking about nothing. That is what will happen. But it's important that we observe what Coach Berryman is saying, because historically speaking, Coach Berryman is completely correct. If you turn down an opportunity, you now don't have it. I'd love to tell you guys the story. There was a wrestler that got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Well, not so fast. Something happened the night of the Hall of Fame induction. Something happened. whether he was stuck in traffic or he didn't feel well or he missed a flight, something happened and he wasn't there and did not walk across the stage. They announced it. The decision had been made. The induction was to take place. He did not walk across that stage. That was 15 years ago. He is not in the Hall of Fame to this day. They did not mail him the plaque and write his name down. They didn't bring him back the next year. They didn't do a Skype interview and release that to the... He's not in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't happen until it happens. I mean, I'm just bringing this to you. I don't think that anybody has Izzy's attention like Plessis. But it would be noteworthy to speculate that Izzy wanted to get Plessis in the ring to hurt him. Whether that sounds nice or not, that's the business. And that's what he wanted to do. And he's now in a position to hurt him by ignoring him. And that doesn't feel as the right. One's the hurt business and one is being mean-spirited. Izzy does not come across as a mean-spirited guy. I'm just sharing with you. He also hasn't made it clear. And this is before Chimaev and Paulo Costa are going to start into the world, letting them know that that should be the number one contenders match. So you have this massive battle for Izzy's attention, which right now is locked on Sean Strickland. But before the curtain is drawn, before they fade to black and roll the credits on that night in Australia, Izzy will let us know who's next. And until then, don't misinterpret anything. Don't think you know. Don't think it's Plessis. Don't think he's sitting there waiting. That's just not the way that this game is played. And I will tell you that that was a very odd evening. I watched it happen. And I kept my mouth shut. But I saw it. I saw the number one contender be crowned. I saw an interview. I saw the body language change. I saw the cameras that were on Plessis when he got into the back, when the commission was with him, before he ever even had his gloves off and his wraps taken, before he's handed his check, which is the very first thing that happens. You come through that curtain, you are handed your check. Before you ever see a locker room, before you see a shower, before you have time to put your clothes on. Well, before any of that happened, they put a camera on him, and he did not talk about Adesanya, and he did not talk about Australia. He stopped that talk, as a matter of fact, and went back to Whitaker. He then had a little bit of time to think about it, did get the shower, did put the clothes on, did have the check, went to a press conference, and did it again, which is to stop the talk on Adesanya and reflect back on Robert Whitaker. And I knew in that moment we're losing him. Something happened in that face-off. Something got real. He's slipping. And you can get a guy back. He didn't ever have to say Chael's right. I'm not giving him a hard time. I'm telling you what I observed and what I saw. And I knew he was slipping. And you can go see the Scarecrow. You can go see the Wizard. You can get that courage back. I mean, right? So it's one of those things. He got a little caught off guard. The lights got a little bit too bright. This was not a guy who was used to that moment. I don't give Plessis a hard time about this at all. I'm telling you what I saw. And I know that we love to think that that's the number one contender, and we love to think, well, maybe he's next, or we love to think he should be next. We didn't take it from him, and Izzy didn't take it from him. Izzy's in a position now to take it from him, but he wasn't then, nor did he. It was a situation of a golden ticket that Plessis gave back. To my knowledge, Plessis has not set out to reclaim that ticket. We're talking about should Plessis be next. I'm asking you a question. Has Plessis said that he wants to be next, that he should be next? Has he made his argument? There was an injury. Something happened. Where did that go? Is that healed? Have we met with doctors? Is that cleared? I mean, it's always the problem when you make up an injury. When you make up an injury, well, now you got to make up a story of how the injury went away. You can't fake an injury and then all of a sudden one day I'm great. You've got to tell the rest of the story. It's the problem with lying. When you start lying, now you got to tell more lies. And if you forgot and lost track of your lie, you forgot. I was hurt over here and I forgot to tell everybody how I got better magically, right? I was hurt over here and now here I am in training. Well, you can't be training when the fight's still 2 months away and you said you couldn't feel good enough to go and do the fight. So when you put out the training footage, you look like a bit of a fool.